أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds. Allah's blessings be upon His Messenger Muhammad and his pure progeny.
Wow. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
We're all too familiar with the media's portrayal of women as being voiceless in Islam. And so, one wonders, do Muslim women have a voice to be empowered in her faith? In Shia history, are there any examples of inspirational women? Who was the first empowered female in Islam? In the Holy Quran, what verse warns women to be wary of their speech? And is there one verse that empowers and exemplifies just one woman? These are a few of the things I would like to address today in my talk about female empowerment. Islam began with Lady Khadija, who set the example for being the first inspirational female. Without her business acumen, utmost faith and devotion towards our holy prophet, peace be upon him, we would not have had the successful spread of this religion. Her legacy continues to inspire other females to embark upon leadership and business roles. In Surah Ahzab, verses 32 to 33, the other wives of the prophet were warned. O wives of the prophet, you're not like other women. If you are God-weary, do not be complacent in your speech. It carries on, and in the next verse it states, stay in your houses. This enlightens us that these are not the women we should look up to for empowerment. They are not our example. However, in sharp contrast, there's just one woman whose status is greater than these. One woman whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen to be the lady of all ladies. In Surah Al Imran, verse 61, it says, come, let us call our sons and your sons, and our woman and your woman. And the only woman the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, brought with him to represent all of womankind was his daughter, Lady Fatima Zahra alayha salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
She is the embodiment of female empowerment. Her powerful sermon and Fadak, given shortly after her father's passing, was when she stood up and spoke up against the injustices committed to her, her family, and the religion brought forth by her father. She stood and her voice echoed through the Arab lands. She says, you have responded to the misguided cries of Satan and attempted to extinguish the lights of this religion and suppress the teachings of the pure prophet. You secretly drank the milk while pretending to sip the froth, all while stalking his family and children, hiding in the trees and trenches. Yet, we endure patiently with you through what feels like the stabbing of daggers and the piercing of our sides with spearheads. And now you claim we have no inheritance? Her powerful sermon and her life serve as an example for all women to gain strength and be empowered. Another inspiring lady is Lady Zainab, peace be upon her. She stood up in front of her male captives and all the crowds of Sham who were in shock and in awe to see a lady stand up and speak out. And in just one line, she brought forth the downfall of the empire. She turned to Yazid and said, O son of the Tulaka, O son of the freed slaves. This testament brought forth the truth of Yazid's lineage, and it clarified the false impression the people of Sham had of Muawiyah being the uncle of the believers. Her sermon not only freed her family, it brought down an empire and saved Islam. She had the strength to deliver that sermon after having been there in Karbala, watching as they killed her sons. She watched as her flag bearer, her strength, Abbas, lost both his arms. She watched as Shimmer sat on the beloved chest of her beloved Hussein, and she watched as he finally butchered him. And when she was asked how she felt of these tragedies, she most eloquently and bravely replied, Ma ra'aytu illa jamila. I saw nothing but beauty. And it is because of these esteemed women, we females today can say, this is why we have our Shia voice. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was really nerve-wracking because knowing that he's someone that I look up to, I listen to his lectures, I attend his lectures, and knowing that he would be literally breaking apart every one of my points, it was nerve-wracking. But in the end, I knew that I had given my best. Allah had inspired me to write what I wrote, put together what I put together, and so it was ultimately in Allah's hands.
A standing ovation from the crowd, a standing ovation from Sayyid Ammar. Sayyid Ammar, bismillah.
Outstanding. Really well done.
Thank
I'm
you.
very proud of you. And I can honestly say that was one of the best speeches I've heard, especially for this short period of time.
Thank
Your
you.
oratory was outstanding. You look towards us, but you look to the further end of the crowd. And that's a sign of someone who's dominating and in charge of their lecture. Because when you're looking at the farther end, you're not actually looking at anyone, you're looking at space. But the crowd thinks that you're making eye contact with them. So you mastered that perfectly. Your quotation of verses, Surah 33, verse 32, Surah 3, verse 61. Excellent, excellent referencing. There are speakers who can quote verses without saying which surah and which verse. And so for you to be able to quote Ahzab and to quote Al Imran and to quote not easy verses as well. Mubahala may have been a bit easier, but وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ is not one anyone's going to narrate. So you've done that fantastically well. Fedek, you quoted part of the khutbah at Fedek. Really well done. That's one of the most difficult sermons to memorize, by the way. Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam's khutbah in Sham, Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam's khutbah in Kufa. In memorizing them, I remember it took a period of time, but the khutbah of Fatima al-Zahra in relation to Fedek is about 17 pages A4. And that takes a long time to memorize. But not only did you memorize it, you were actually feeling what you were saying. You were understanding which part to quote as well. So you've done that very well. The structure was perfect. You started with Sayyidah Khadija alayhi salam. You went towards Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam. And you ended with Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam. Talked about Sham. It was a perfect 10 performance. Very well done. Excellent.
Mullah Nazar, your thoughts?
MashaAllah, Salma Mulidina. Well, I'm speechless, wallahi. I cannot say, anything. Sayyid Ammar said,
honestly, he asked me before. He said to me, what are we going to expect? You know, I'm really looking forward to this, but I don't know what to expect.
MashaAllah, what Sayyid Ammar said was correct. 100%. That's what you did was, I'm speechless. Wallahi, I cannot say anything.
Sayyid Mason?
I don't think I have any more. You have the master here. He's the best speaker in the world that I know. There's nothing more I can add, but I do want to make 2 points. Usually we do credit to the parents. Tonight, I want to credit your children.
They're here.
They're right
here?
behind
Yeah.
you. They
right
can
behind
stand
you.
up. Ali
Stand
Hassan,
up,
Ali
stand
Hussein.
up.
They must be proud.
And a shout out to Riz. Riz is a good friend of mine as well. So shout out to the husband as well.
Absolutely.
Because when you want to be a female speaker, you need a backbone and a pillar and a husband who's understanding. And he deserves a round of applause.
Well done, Riz. And lastly, Sayyid Jalal.
MashaAllah, beautiful, actually, performance. I really enjoyed. I have written one thing here, which you have done it, by the way. I have written before. I was mentioning that it's better to change your voice when you go to Lady Zainab and when she's actually lecturing, addressing the Yazid and his actually party, and you have done that part. Really, I enjoyed that part. Another thing, of course, Sayyid Ammar mentioned, when you give reference, it's better to recite that part. Of course, it's difficult, but for your future, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ, that part, and as well the ayah of Mubahila, so you can reference, that will give you more credit. You have done good job, and because you have done the greatest job, I want to stand up again for you.
MashaAllah.
Thank you.
Another standing ovation.
Thank you so much.
Mauladina, and that means that everyone in the crowd as well, please put your hands together for Salma Mauladina. Santi.